The heavy scent of oud and frankincense clung to the air, a silken shroud promising ancient comforts but offering Zara none. Beyond the intricately carved mashrabia, Dubai shimmered, a mirage of steel and glass against the desert sun, a world of modern ambition impossibly distant from her gilded confinement. Inside the vast, hushed majlis, the low murmur of conversation, respectful greetings, strategic alliances, hushed negotiations among the influential, failed to penetrate the thick wall of her isolation. It was a resonant symphony of belonging from which she felt utterly excluded, a distant hum that only deepened her detachment. Her exquisitely embroidered silks, a lustrous emerald, felt less like a regal embrace and more like a heavy costume, suffocating despite the fine weave. Each stitch seemed to bind her to a fate she had not chosen. Zara sat on plush custom cushions, posture meticulously rigid, a fragile doll arranged among towering figures. The lamplight, filtered through delicate screens, caught the faint tremor in her slender clasped hands, betraying the turmoil she strove to conceal. Her deep brown gaze, usually bright with intelligence and curiosity, was veiled by weariness. Shadows beneath her eyes spoke of sleepless nights and unvoiced fears. Familial and societal expectations pressed on her like a physical weight, an invisible oppression that stole breath and freedom. Each swirling pattern on the Persian rug seemed to mock her internal disarray. Every glint of gold in the Arabic calligraphy on the arched walls reminded her of the legacy she was compelled to uphold. This family sanctuary, a place of honor and tradition, had become an inescapable gilded cage, its opulence a cruel mirror to her despair. A chilling cold seeped into her bones, indifferent to the desert heat. Her mind replayed fragments of arduous conversations, the unyielding echoes of duties, the drumbeat of a future planned without her choice. The world outside the Majlis doors receded into an unattainable horizon, a dream of freedom and self-determination. Within these hallowed walls, time felt suspended, heavy with history and predetermined fates. Her heart ached, a dull throb under her ribs, the body's echo of her spirit's quiet rebellion. She longed, painfully, for a single unfettered breath, a moment of unburdened silence. Instead, the air was thick with expectation and her interior silence deafening, full of unspoken anxieties and dread. She barely registered the soft rustle of expensive fabric approaching, lost in her ocean of melancholy. A comforting shadow fell across the rug before her, and warmth, physical and emotional, radiated into her desolate space. A gentle hand settled on her shoulder, unexpectedly tender and grounding, pulling her back from the precipice. The uplifting scent of jasmine, light and consoling, briefly replaced the cloying oud. A voice, rich with concern and affection, cut through her sorrow, and softly inquired why she was sitting there all by herself, sweetheart. The polished marble of the showroom floor, reflecting the crystal chandeliers above, amplified the salesman's condescension, making their hushed remarks feel like proclamations. Amir, his modest thobe against their bespoke suits, kept a serene calm, a silent observer of their thinly veiled disdain. Tariq, flamboyant with a predatory gleam, gestured toward the more modest SUVs, his voice dripping false concern as he suggested vehicles more suited to his practical needs, a jab at Amir's perceived lack. Zayed, lean and sharp, his smile a mere twitch, scoffed openly, exchanging knowing glances with Salim, the older, portly salesman watching with a cynical smirk. The elite business summit, meant for serious commerce among the city's influential, had become a stage for Amir's quiet humiliation. He had simply asked for a dependable, well-engineered machine for his extensive agricultural operations, acres of innovative desert resorts, yet their immediate assumption, based on his unadorned attire, was that appearance defined his means, not his understated wealth. A cluster of summit attendees, drawn by the rising tension, paused their conversations. Curious or judgmental, their tailored suits formed an unspoken alliance with the salesman. The air thickened, not with scents of leather and new technology, but with the weight of prejudice and social discomfort. Amir's eyes, pools of ancient wisdom, held no anger, only a weary understanding of the human tendency to judge surfaces over substance. He inhaled, ready to reassert his interest with quiet resolve, when Khalid, the dealership manager, emerged from his opulent office, his embroidered bisht trailing like a dark cloud. Khalid's groomed beard and sharp suit exuded dismissive authority. His eyes swept Amir's simple attire with a practiced, disdainful calculation. He approached with a patronizing smile, a predator assessing an easy mark. The summit murmurs died. A collective silence fell as everyone sensed confrontation. This was no longer private. It was a public spectacle under the lights of the Riyadh financial district, watched by the city's most judgmental elite. Khalid stopped a respectful distance from the salesman, his gaze fixed on Amir, communicating profound disapproval. He smoothed his jacket in a theatrical assertion of superiority, then, voice smooth but cutting, addressed Amir. "My dear sir," he began, condescending, "while we appreciate your interest, perhaps you've wandered into the wrong showroom. Our clientele seeks something a little more exclusive, a mark of distinction. I'm certain you'll find a more appropriate selection at one of our pre-owned lots across town. The selection there is quite robust, I assure you, and perhaps better suited to your circumstances." The insult was sharp as a desert thorn. Tariq and Zayed visibly relaxed, their smiles widening, encouraged by their manager's contempt. Salim let out a soft guttural chuckle that grated in the hushed room, cementing the scorn. Amir remained unyielding, a silent rock against the tide of arrogance. He tilted his head slightly, gaze unwavering, acknowledging the insult without accepting its premise or letting it disturb his inner calm. His dignity shone, a beacon against crude materialism, subtly challenging their arrogance and reminding them, though they did not yet see, that true wealth is measured by character, not the gleam of gold. In that glittering hubristic moment, humility held its ground against overt pride, setting the stage for a revelation to come. The air, once heavy with dismissive remarks, now crackled with quiet tension, the prelude to a storm only Amir seemed prepared to weather. His unassuming presence began to shift the dealership's dynamics, a silent ripple hinting at a disruption and an ethical reckoning for premium motors. A magnetic pull, stronger than any desert wind, guided Amir across the polished showroom floor. His gaze had fixed on the prize, a gleaming obsidian Hilux, its robust lines softened by an aura of luxury. This was not merely a vehicle, it embodied a dream, every curve crafted to conquer dunes and the most discerning streets alike. The metallic sheen caught the lights, hinting at a power and prestige he longed to claim. He imagined the leather-wrapped wheel, the engine's hum, the feeling of effortless command. Each deliberate stride closed the distance, a silent promise between man and coveted metal. He reached out, fingers anticipating the cool, smooth paint, a subconscious claim. Before his fingertips touched, a figure materialized, a shadow eclipsing his aspiration. Salim, an older salesman whose weathered face seemed etched with a perpetual sneer, stepped into Amir's path, a deliberate barrier of cynicism. His posture was confrontational, shoulders squared, an air of dismissive authority radiating like heat off sun-baked asphalt. Narrow, calculating eyes swept Amir's modest attire, delivering judgment without a word. The older man's presence shattered the quiet reverence Amir felt. Salim's thin, downturned lips parted, releasing condescending remarks, each laced with biting sarcasm that hung in the sterile air. "True desert magnates," he rasped, "understand such an acquisition. They do not approach it like an eager child at a toy window." The implication was cruelly precise. Amir was not one of them, an interloper in a world reserved for a few. The words stung, a persistent burn beneath Amir's composure. Salim kept up his verbal assault, gaze fixed, a deliberate intimidation. "These machines," he scoffed, gesturing at the Hilux with a dismissive flick, "are for those who command the sands, not merely observe them." His tone sharpened, each phrase designed to shrink Amir, to mark his place in the hierarchy of wealth and influence. He spoke of legacy and lineage, fortunes passed through generations, drawing a clear line between Amir and the established elite. The showroom air thickened. Bright lights felt harsher, the hush turning oppressive. Noor, the young assistant who had watched from a discreet distance, shifted. Her dark eyes, usually composed, flickered to the floor, then back. A brief, almost involuntary smile touched her lips. Nervous, quickly suppressed. It was born of social pressure, a silent acknowledgement of the awkward dynamic. Her expression hinted at empathy for Amir, swiftly masked by professional neutrality. Salim's unspoken social codes pressed down on everyone, a tangible force in the pristine room. Amir, outwardly composed, felt the sting of the words, an icy knot in his stomach, and a quiet spark of defiance. The brief encounter had set an unexpected, challenging tone for his visit. The biting edge of the salesman's words, a casual barb meant to wound, found its mark, stirring an ache in Amir's chest. It echoed sun-scorched memories of a childhood carved by poverty and ridicule. His simple attire had been a cloak of invisibility, or a scarlet letter, drawing dismissive glances from those who measured worth by silk and gold. A subtle flush warmed his weathered face. Not embarrassment, but the weary recognition that such superficiality persisted even in the glittering arenas of the modern world. He felt his mother Layla's gentle hand on his shoulder, her timeless wisdom. True wealth is measured not by the gleam of gold, but by the richness of a man's character. That mantra steadied him, anchoring his spirit against their blatant disdain. The opulence around him, the chrome and marble, felt like a stage for shallow judgment, a contrast to the rugged honesty of the desert winds that had shaped his soul. His gaze, steady as the North Star in a clear desert night, met Salim's cynical stare without wavering. There was no anger, no impulsive retort, only the calm of a man who had long mastered patience and self-possession. The chandeliers and glass of premium motors shimmered like a fragile illusion beside the solid truth of his life. He held their judgment in his palm, a motile dust in the panorama of his accomplishments. He had seen that myopic vision mirrored in countless faces across a long, industrious life. This was more than a vehicle transaction. It was a quiet reassertion of a fundamental truth, a testament to values woven not from gold, but from the sturdy fabric of integrity. With a measured breath and a slight shift in dignified posture, Amir spoke, his low voice cutting through the hum of the elite business summit. Each word bore the weight of years of honest toil and steady management, delivered with a disarming simplicity. "My esteemed friend," he began with gentle irony, "my life has been dedicated to purposeful work, from first light to deep night. My hands, though not adorned with jewels, have tilled more earth than many will ever walk, and my foresight has nurtured prosperity from barren lands." He paused, letting the statement settle. "I possess not merely savings, but substantial assets, accumulated through decades of unwavering dedication and strategic investment." His gaze swept the salesman and briefly met Noor's wide, watchful eyes. Her nervous smile vanished, replaced by a flicker of recognition, a dawning understanding that the man before them was more than his humble dress. The gleaming Hilux, once Salim's trophy, now seemed to reflect a different glow, not the lure of luxury, but the quiet, unassailable power of genuine worth. The showroom's dismissive air recalibrated into a taut, unexpected tension. Amir's quiet assertion hung there, the prelude to unveiling his true stature, a living proof that character indeed was the ultimate currency. The stage was set not for a simple purchase, but for a redefinition of power and prestige, etched in the resolve of a humble sheikh, where integrity shone brightest. Khalid's stunned visage, once a bastion of conceited authority, now contorted into an unmasked horror, absorbing the colossal truth of Amir's declaration. The dealership manager's world fractured with the weight of the sheikh's words, each syllable a precise strike against his flimsy kingdom. A serene, almost imperceptible smile touched Amir's lips, a subtle curve that spoke not of malice, but of an unyielding purpose. The very air in the showroom, thick moments ago with Khalid's bluster, became charged with a palpable silence, broken only by the quiet efficiency of Amir's voice as he spoke to Dr. Roberto Mendes, his acquisition lawyer, setting in motion the swift, undeniable transfer of ownership. The gleaming luxury vehicles, which had been instruments of Khalid's disdain, now stood as silent, polished monuments to a power he had so spectacularly misjudged. This was not merely a transaction, but a profound recalibration, a dismantling of arrogance and the quiet establishment of a new, principled order. The golden light of the setting sun, streaming through the vast glass facade, painted long, deepening shadows across the pristine marble, a visual metaphor for the shift in power, the end of one era, and the inevitable, purposeful dawn of another. The hum of the elite business summit, which had echoed with the hollow promises of fleeting success, now faded into insignificance, swallowed by the sheer magnitude of Amir's decisive action. The very foundations of premium motors and the superficial culture it had long embodied were not merely shifting, they were being irrevocably relaid, brick by ethical brick, destined for a future where genuine respect, not mere transaction, would be the true measure of success. The showroom, once a stage for empty displays, was poised to become a crucible of transformative change, guided by an unwavering commitment to a higher standard of excellence. The sudden silence, thick and suffocating, swallowed the last echoes of the elite business summit's fleeting vibrancy, leaving Khalid and his sales team marooned in a sea of their own miscalculations. Each polished surface of the showroom, once a canvas for their boastful reflections, now served as a merciless mirror, throwing back images of shock and unraveling hubris. A cold dread, far more chilling than any desert night, seeped into Khalid's bones, tightening its grip as the full weight of Amir's quiet dismantling descended upon him. His carefully constructed empire, built on superficial charm and aggressive sales tactics, crumbled not with a roar, but with a serene, undeniable finality. The once gleaming vehicles, silent witnesses to their downfall, seemed to hum with an almost mocking indifference, their luxury now a stark testament to a power they had so spectacularly misjudged. Amir, a figure of unwavering resolve, observed their discomfiture with an unreadable calm, his gaze holding neither triumph nor malice, only a profound sense of purpose. He was not here for retribution, but for transformation, for the meticulous reshaping of an establishment that had lost its way. The rapid conclusion promised by Dr. Mendez was not a threat, but a surgical certainty, severing the old, diseased roots to allow for new, principled growth. The golden light of the setting sun, which had moments ago gilded their fading aspirations, now painted long, deepening shadows across the marble, visually demarcating the end of one chapter and the solemn, yet hopeful, inauguration of another. This was more than a business acquisition. It was a cultural shift, an ethical recalibration demanding a complete overhaul of values. Nor, a quiet sentinel amidst the unfolding drama, felt a thrilling current of revelation course through her. Her eyes, wide with a newfound understanding, absorbed the scene with an intensity that belied her usually reserved demeanor. She saw beyond the material wealth, beyond the gleaming chrome and expensive leather, to the true power that lay in integrity, in quiet strength, and in a vision uncorrupted by arrogance. Amir's brief, acknowledging glance was a silent catalyst, igniting a spark of confidence within her, confirming her own nascent belief in a better way. The sheer magnitude of his decision, a masterstroke of understated authority, had not merely altered the fate of a dealership, it had redefined the very essence of influence. The air, once heavy with the stench of desperate ambition, now vibrated with a cleaner, sharper energy, pregnant with the potential of a meticulously planned rebirth. The foundations of premium motors indeed were not just shifting, they were being meticulously relaid, brick by ethical brick, destined for a future where genuine respect, not mere transaction, would be the true measure of success. A new, compelling narrative was about to unfold, its first lines penned in the quiet resolve of the Sheikh. Khalid's derisive laughter echoed through the vast showroom, a sound calculated to diminish Amir in front of the assembled elite, a casual cruelty that made other customers shift uncomfortably. He stood, chest puffed, entirely convinced of his own superior judgment, entirely oblivious to the profound irony unfolding before him. The sales team, emboldened by their manager's arrogance, exchanged smirks, their eyes glinting with a shared sense of triumph over the unassuming man in the simple thobe. The sleek, gleaming vehicles around them, silent witnesses to this public spectacle, seemed to amplify the sense of exclusion, their polished surfaces reflecting a world of opulence that Khalid believed Amir could never touch. The air, already thick with the scent of expensive leather and ambition, now carried a distinct tang of contempt, a heavy atmosphere that pressed down on Amir from all sides. He remained a solitary figure amidst the escalating ridicule, his composure a quiet defiance against the rising tide of their scorn. Khalid, his face contorted into a sneer, advanced on Amir, his voice dropping to a low, menacing growl, yet loud enough to carry through the hushed showroom. "You are an embarrassment, an absolute disgrace to this establishment," he hissed, each word laced with venom. "You're driving away our real clients, damaging the reputation we've worked so hard to build." His finger jabbed aggressively toward the exit. "Leave, now, or I will not hesitate to call security and have you forcibly removed." The threat hung in the air, heavy and undeniable, leaving Amir standing in the middle of the expansive marble-floored space, feeling utterly exposed, his dignity assaulted, the weight of their judgment a crushing burden that sought to strip him of all self-worth. The sudden quiet of the showroom, now free from the bluster of the departed, settled like a tangible new atmosphere, one of hushed anticipation rather than dread. A profound sense of shift permeated the marble halls, no longer merely reflecting superficial grandeur, but the nascent glimmers of a truly transformative purpose. Amir's presence, previously underestimated, now resonated with an undeniable authority that was both serene and absolute, a quiet force reshaping the very foundations of the establishment. Noor, no longer a peripheral figure, moved with a newfound internal luminescence, her quiet dignity blossoming under the weight of her significant new role. The details of restructuring, of ethical frameworks, and of renewed customer focus began to coalesce in her mind, a symphony of tasks awaiting her touch. She sensed the immense responsibility, yet a thrilling current of capability coursed through her, replacing previous anxieties with a clear, focused resolve. The glint on the luxury vehicles now seemed to catch a different light, one of genuine aspiration rather than hollow display, as if even the machines themselves acknowledged the change. Rashid and Samira, standing a respectful distance from Amir, exchanged a glance that confirmed their mutual assessment. The Sheikh was not just a powerful individual, but a visionary whose principles aligned perfectly with their own consortium's strategic goals. Their proposition, a carefully calculated move, now seemed less an offer and more a natural alignment of forces destined to reshape the luxury market. The air, still carrying the faint traces of oud from Amir's earlier arrival, now also held the invigorating scent of opportunity, of partnerships built on mutual respect and foresight. The expansive glass facade, once a window to a world of fleeting ambition, now framed a deepening twilight sky, mirroring the transition from a day of upheaval to the promise of a meticulously planned dawn. The hum of distant Dubai, a city perpetually building its future, felt more connected to the showroom's own burgeoning narrative, no longer a stark contrast, but a harmonious echo of progress. A new chapter had not just begun, but was already being meticulously drafted, each line penned with foresight and an unwavering commitment to a higher standard of excellence. The expectation in the air was palpable, a silent agreement among those who remained that the path ahead, though uncharted, was imbued with potent, ethical promise. The hushed showroom now cradled a nascent energy, a collective inhale before a significant, collaborative stride. The potent promise, once merely a whisper of possibility, solidified into a shared vision, a tangible architectural blueprint of ambition and ethics. Amir's steady gaze, imbued with a quiet power, swept over the faces of those who remained, a silent acknowledgement of their aligned purpose. He felt the immense weight of expectation, not as a burden, but as a crucible for true leadership, an opportunity to forge a legacy far beyond mere transactions. The faint scent of oud, still lingering, now blended with a sharper, cleaner aroma, that of fresh purpose, of papers crisp with new agreements, of a future meticulously outlined. Noor, her initial awe now tempered with a formidable sense of responsibility, found her thoughts already racing, sketching out organizational charts, envisioning training modules focused on genuine service and transparency. The grand marble floors, which had once felt like a stage for hollow displays, now seemed to invite purposeful footsteps, each echo a reminder of the foundational shift. She pictured the redesigned customer experience, a tapestry woven with respect and meticulous attention to detail, far removed from the perfunctory dismissals she had witnessed. A quiet thrill surged through her, a mixture of trepidation and profound excitement, as she contemplated the sheer scope of transformation ahead. Her promotion was not simply a title, but an entrustment, a call to activate every ounce of her latent potential. Rashid and Samira, their expressions reflective yet resolute, engaged in a silent dialogue of strategic assessment. They recognized in Amir a rare blend of astute business acumen and unwavering moral conviction, a combination that promised not just profit, but enduring influence. Their consortium, with its vast network and resources, was poised to amplify this new direction, to infuse the luxury market with a paradigm shift it desperately needed. Samira considered the philanthropic avenues, the community engagement that could blossom from a truly ethical enterprise, far beyond the superficial gestures of the past. Rashid mentally drafted the initial partnership agreements, already anticipating the ripple effect this alliance would have across the region. The expansive glass facade, no longer merely reflecting the golden hues of a departing sun, now offered a panoramic view of a city that ceaselessly reinvented itself, a fitting backdrop for their own ambitious undertaking. The hum of Dubai, once a distant symphony, now resonated as a harmonious chord, signifying a collective journey toward an uncharted horizon. The showroom, once a mere stage for fleeting ambition, had transmuted into a vibrant crucible of principled vision, where the whispers of transformation were already beginning to solidify into concrete plans. Each individual present, from the visionary sheikh to the newly empowered manager and the strategic partners, understood that they stood at the precipice of a new era. The path ahead, while demanding, was illuminated by an unshakable commitment to excellence and a profound ethical promise that echoed through the very foundations of the reimagined establishment, beckoning them towards a dawn unlike any they had known. The immense blueprint of their collective ambition began to unfurl, demanding not just meticulous hands but unwavering steadiness against the currents of the established order. The whispers of transformation had solidified into a tangible call to action, cutting through the lingering echoes of past misjudgments. The showroom, no longer a stage for fleeting ambition, had transmuted into a vibrant crucible where principled vision would be forged, demanding a profound re-evaluation of every detail, process, and interaction. Amir, his gaze a steady anchor of quiet power, felt the weight of expectation settle upon him. Not a burden, but a catalyst. This was his chance to forge a legacy beyond transactions, to imprint an ethical standard on the luxury market. The faint scent of oud, lingering in the polished air, now blended with a cleaner aroma. The smell of fresh purpose, crisp papers of new agreements, a meticulously outlined future awaiting its first strokes. He envisioned a paradigm where integrity and genuine service were the true currency of prestige, replacing hollow displays. His resolve, tempered by years of observation and a deep understanding of human nature, hardened into unshakable commitment. Noor, her initial awe now tempered by responsibility, found her thoughts racing as she sketched organizational charts and training modules focused on genuine service, empathy, and transparency. The grand marble floors, once a stage for performative gestures, now invited purposeful footsteps, each echo a reminder of the shift underway. She pictured a redesigned customer experience woven with respect, anticipation, and meticulous attention to nuance, a stark departure from perfunctory dismissals and cold disdain. A quiet thrill surged through her, trepidation laced with excitement. Her promotion was not merely a title, but an entrustment to activate every ounce of latent potential and imbue the establishment with a soul it had lacked. Rashid and Samira, reflective yet resolute, shared a silent, strategic dialogue. In Sheikh Amir, they saw a rare blend of astute business acumen and moral conviction, promising not just profit, but enduring influence and positive regional impact. Their consortium, with its vast network and resources, was poised to amplify this direction and infuse the luxury market with the needed paradigm shift. Samira considered philanthropic avenues and community engagement that could grow from a truly ethical enterprise. Rashid mentally drafted initial partnership agreements, anticipating the ripple effect this alliance would have beyond the gleaming walls. The expansive glass facade, no longer merely reflecting the sun's gold, framed a city that ceaselessly reinvented itself, a fitting backdrop for their undertaking. The hum of Dubai, once a distant symphony of relentless progress, now resonated as a harmonious chord, marking a collective journey toward an uncharted horizon. Each person present, from the visionary sheikh to the newly empowered manager and the strategic partners, understood they stood at the precipice of a new era. The path ahead would demand much, but it was lit by an unshakable commitment to excellence and a profound ethical promise echoing through the reimagined establishment, beckoning them toward a dawn where purpose and prosperity converged. The morning light, softer than the previous day's harsh glare, filtered through the expansive glass facade, painting the transformed showroom in hues of quiet resolve. The air, no longer heavy with the stale scent of bygone ambition, carried a subtle freshness, an invigorating promise of innovative beginnings. The meticulous blueprints for their ethical revolution, once whispered aspirations, now lay open across polished mahogany tables, each line a testament to shared commitment. A palpable energy, distinct from the fleeting excitement of acquisition, settled upon Amir and his newly aligned team, a deep-seated hum of purpose that promised to reshape the very landscape of luxury. They understood this was not merely a business venture, but a profound recalibration of values, a bold declaration against the superficial. Amir, standing at the precipice of this undertaking, felt a quiet expansion within his chest, a sense of profound affirmation. His gaze, steady and contemplative, swept across Noor, Rashid, and Samira, each reflecting a unique facet of the burgeoning vision. He saw in their eyes not just professional acumen, but a shared moral compass, a silent agreement to navigate the uncharted waters with unwavering integrity. The weight of leadership, far from being a solitary burden, felt like a powerful, collective current, propelling them forward. He envisioned a future where every transaction resonated with authenticity, where true prestige stemmed from ethical practice, echoing a timeless wisdom he had long held. The subtle fragrance of oud from his attire, typically a marker of ancient tradition, now mingled with the modern scent of progress, a harmonious blend of past and future. Noor, her initial flush of surprise now settled into a deep, unwavering conviction, meticulously reviewed the preliminary organizational structures. Her pen moved with newfound confidence, sketching not just hierarchies but pathways for genuine human connection within the enterprise. The marble floors, no longer echoing with the hollow steps of dismissive salesmen, seemed to resonate with the anticipated footsteps of genuinely served clients. She imagined training modules that would foster empathy, that would elevate customer interaction into an art form, a symphony of attentive service. The responsibility, immense and exhilarating, pulsed through her veins, transforming trepidation into a sharp, focused determination. This was her moment, a canvas upon which to paint a masterpiece of principled management. Rashid, with a strategic glint in his eyes, absorbed the unfolding scene, his mind already drafting the comprehensive framework for their consortium's involvement. He recognized Amir's unique ability to blend shrewd business decisions with an unassailable moral code, a combination rarely seen, yet profoundly potent. The synergy between their financial power and Amir's visionary leadership promised not just unprecedented market dominance, but a legacy of transformative influence. Samira, ever the humanist, considered the broader societal impact, the philanthropic endeavors that would naturally bloom from an enterprise rooted in ethical stewardship. Her thoughts drifted to community programs, to initiatives that would empower and uplift, extending the reach of their principled vision far beyond the showroom's gleaming walls. The hum of Dubai, a city perpetually in motion, building, dreaming, now felt inextricably linked to their own ambitious narrative. The showroom, once a mere stage for fragile pride, had indeed become a crucible, a place where raw ambition was being refined, purified by the fire of ethical commitment. Each individual, bound by a shared sense of purpose, stood ready to forge a new dawn, a testament to the idea that true prosperity could only truly flourish in the fertile ground of unyielding principle. The path ahead, though labyrinthine, shimmered with a profound beckoning light. The labyrinthine path, daunting in its twists, revealed glimpses of an illuminated destination, drawing the nascent leadership deeper into its promise. The shared vision, once a seed, unfurled its first leaves, demanding not just meticulous planning but a unified resolve against a market accustomed to artifice. The ambition, forged in the crucible of ethical commitment, became a living presence in the transformed showroom. A profound sense of collective destiny settled on them, a quiet understanding that their strengths, when interwoven, formed an indomitable tapestry against a city ceaselessly building its dreams. Amir, a silent architect of this future, felt a deep resonance with that purpose. His gaze, reflective yet steady, took in the nuances of Noor, Rashid, and Samira, seeing their capabilities converge toward a singular goal. He knew leadership transcended authority. It was an orchestration of trust, foresight, and belief in the dignity of honest enterprise. The faint aroma of oud, an echo of his heritage, mingled with the crisp scent of newly printed blueprints, a blend of ancient wisdom guiding modern innovation. He envisioned interactions marked by genuine respect, where excellence flowed from an unwavering moral compass and a legacy he intended to carve. Noor, a spirit alight with purpose, treated her new role as privilege rather than burden. Her mind, a whirl of strategic thought, pieced together an operational framework and training programs to cultivate skill, empathy, and meticulous service. The marble floors, once indifferent to transactional steps, now seemed to vibrate with the rhythm of a client-centered experience. She imagined a dealership where every gesture and word resonated with authenticity, turning the mundane into something memorable. A current of capability erased lingering doubts, replacing them with focused determination to sculpt a new standard of luxury. Rashid, already mapping market contours, engaged in a quiet intellectual exchange with Samira. Their shared vision ran beneath their calm exteriors. He saw in Sheikh Amir a rare balance, financial acumen wedded to an ethical code, ready to transform the sector. Their consortium, with vast resources and networks, could amplify this direction, ushering a paradigm shift in luxury. Samira, staring at the cityscape beyond the glass, imagined the ripples of their ethical work, philanthropic programs for community enrichment and empowerment, extending their principled vision far beyond the showroom. The hum of Dubai, a continuous symphony of audacious progress, wove into their ambitious narrative, each beat affirming their journey. The showroom, no longer a stage for fleeting ambition, had become a crucible where raw potential was tempered by ethical fire. Bound by a shared purpose, they stood on the brink of a new era. The path ahead, complex and demanding, was lit by a commitment to excellence and a profound ethical promise, beckoning them toward a dawn of principled prosperity. The continuous symphony of audacious progress in Dubai now harmonized with their narrative, each beat affirming a collective journey toward an uncharted horizon. The showroom, no longer a stage for transient ambition, had become a crucible where raw potential was tempered by the ethical fire of their shared commitment. Bound by a profound sense of purpose, they stood on the precipice of a new era, the path ahead complex and demanding, yet lit by an unwavering dedication to excellence and an ethical promise, beckoning them toward principled prosperity. This was not merely a venture, but a redefinition, a testament that true success lay not in fleeting gains, but in the enduring foundation of integrity. Amir, a silent architect of this future, felt a deep resonance with that purpose. His gaze, reflective yet focused, took in Noor's growing confidence, Rashid's strategic foresight, and Samira's compassionate vision, seeing their talents converge on a single goal. He understood leadership as an orchestration of trust, foresight, and belief in the dignity of honest enterprise. The faint aroma of oud, echoing his heritage, mingled with the crisp scent of blueprints, a blend of ancient wisdom guiding modern innovation. He envisioned a future where every interaction was marked by respect and transparency, where excellence flowed from an unwavering moral compass. He was not just building a business, he was carving a legacy defined by ethical stewardship. Noor, her spirit alight with renewed purpose, embraced her role as privilege rather than burden. Her mind raced with clarity, piecing together an operational framework to cultivate skill, deep empathy, and meticulous service. The marble floors, once indifferent to transactional steps, now seemed to vibrate with the anticipated rhythm of a client-centered experience, each echo promising respectful engagement. She imagined a dealership where every gesture and word resonated with authenticity, turning mundane interactions into something memorable and valued. New capability erased lingering doubts, replaced by a sharp determination to sculpt an elevated standard of luxury service, her canvas for principled management. Rashid, mapping the market's contours, exchanged quiet strategy with Samira. Their shared vision ran beneath calm exteriors. He saw in Sheikh Amir a rare balance, shrewd financial acumen wedded to an unassailable ethical code, poised to transform the sector. Their consortium, with vast resources and networks, stood ready to amplify this direction and usher in a needed paradigm shift. Samira, staring at the cityscape beyond the glass, imagined the ripples of their ethical work, philanthropic programs for community enrichment and empowerment that would carry their principled vision far beyond the showroom. The hum of Dubai wove itself into their ambitious narrative, each sustained beat affirming the significance of their collective journey. The showroom had become a crucible where potential was refined by ethical commitment. Bound by a shared purpose, they stood on the brink of a new era. The path ahead, though complex, shimmered with a beckoning light born of their commitment to excellence and an ethical promise resonant through the reimagined establishment, drawing them toward a dawn where integrity was not just ideal, but the cornerstone of every triumph. The silent accord among them, forged in the shimmering light of imminent transformation, deepened into a shared resolve that now coursed through the arteries of the reimagined space. Each person, once a singular thread in the tapestry of ambition, felt woven into a collective purpose, their strengths amplifying with every beat of Dubai's pulse. Meticulous blueprints, no longer mere concepts, began to manifest as whispered conversations gave way to definitive strategies, etching the contours of a future built on genuine service and principle. The air, once thick with the scent of fleeting aspirations, carried the promise of fresh ink on new agreements, of murmurs turning to action. The vast glass facade, a witness to yesterday's grandeur, reflected a dawn unlike any other, casting the marble floors with hues of resolute commitment. Amir, his gaze a wellspring of quiet conviction, felt the weight of this undertaking settle on his shoulders as affirmation of his deepest beliefs. He moved through the revitalized showroom, each step echoing the foundation of his ethical leadership, a testament to a vision taking form. He foresaw a market where prestige was earned through authentic connection, where luxury was infused with meaning, the antithesis of hollow display. His resolve, honed by years of discernment and an innate sense of value, shone with unwavering clarity, illuminating the challenging path ahead. The subtle fragrance of oud, a reminder of ancestral wisdom, mingled with the aroma of progress, a blend of heritage and innovation. Noor, her spirit alight with focused clarity, delved into operational design, her mind a nexus of strategic thought. She envisioned training that would cultivate not just skill but profound empathy, transforming transactions into human connection. Her pen, guided by commitment to excellence, sketched pathways for seamless client experiences, detailing every touchpoint to resonate with respect and care. The marble floors, once trodden by indifferent steps, now invited a new rhythm, the cadence of genuinely satisfied clients. A current of capability erased past anxieties, replaced by exhilarating determination to set a new benchmark for luxury service. Her role was not merely a title, but a sacred entrustment, a call to activate every fiber of her being for their collective vision. Rashid, with a glint of anticipation, absorbed the dynamism, already charting broader market implications. He recognized in Sheikh Amir an extraordinary synthesis, the acumen of a financial titan, woven with an unassailable moral code. This combination promised not merely profit, but an enduring legacy of transformative influence across the region. Their network and resources were poised to amplify this ethical revolution, shifting the luxury sector's paradigm. Samira, looking toward the cityscape beyond the glass, imagined philanthropic avenues blossoming from such stewardship, community empowerment, educational programs, sustainable ventures extending the vision beyond the showroom. The ceaseless hum of Dubai, a symphony of construction and aspiration, resonated as a harmonious chord in the narrative they were penning. The showroom, once a stage for transient pride, had become a crucible where potential was tempered by ethical commitment. From the visionary sheikh to the newly empowered manager and the strategic partners, they stood united at the precipice of a new era. The path ahead, complex and demanding, shimmered with a beckoning light born of collective commitment to excellence and an ethical promise that rooted integrity as the cornerstone of every triumph. The air thrummed with a future meticulously planned, where purpose and prosperity converge in a radiant display. The radiant outline of their carefully planned future held their collective gaze, each detail of the burgeoning enterprise illuminated by the dawn of shared ambition. The showroom, once a hollow monument to fleeting pride, had been transformed into a living testament to the crucible where raw potential was refined by the steady fire of ethical commitment. A quiet accord settled among them, weaving individual strengths into an indomitable force poised to reshape the luxury market. The air, no longer merely charged with possibility, vibrated with the energy of strategies solidifying into action and visions taking form against a city that constantly reinvents its narrative. The vast glass facade, witness to their journey, mirrored not just Dubai's ceaseless construction, but the precise, principled architecture of their growing empire. Amir, a serene anchor amid the momentum, felt his beliefs affirmed in the foundations of the reimagined establishment. His discerning gaze, steady with conviction, took in Noor, Rashid, and Samira, each focused expression reflecting the shared moral compass guiding their decisions. He knew true leadership was not solitary command, but a symphony of trust, foresight, and respect for honest enterprise. The subtle scent of oud, an echo of ancestral heritage, mingled with the crispness of new documents, a blend of ancient wisdom steering modern innovation. He envisioned interactions that bore genuine respect, prestige earned through transparency, and excellence born of an unwavering ethical practice that would reshape the sector. Noor, her spirit alight with focused clarity, navigated operational design with newfound fluidity. Her mind, a nexus of strategic thought, assembled training programs to cultivate not just skill, but empathy, turning transactions into meaningful connections. Her pen moved across crisp pages, sketching pathways for seamless client experiences that resonated with care. The marble floors, once indifferent underfoot, now seemed to pulse with the anticipated rhythm of satisfied clients. A current of capability displaced past anxieties, leaving a sharp determination to set a new benchmark for principled luxury service. Rashid, a strategist of market dynamics, absorbed the unfolding scene with quiet intensity, mapping regional and international implications. He saw in Sheikh Amir a rare synthesis, the acumen of a financial titan fused with an unyielding moral code, an alliance promising not just profit but enduring influence. Their consortium, with vast networks and resources, could amplify this ethical revolution, shifting the luxury paradigm. Samira, watching the kaleidoscope cityscape, envisioned philanthropic branches of such stewardship, community empowerment, education, and sustainable ventures that extended their ethical vision into society's core. The ceaseless hum of Dubai, audacious construction and boundless ambition, wove itself into their narrative, each beat affirming the significance of their journey. The showroom had become a crucible where possibility was tempered by ethical fire. From the visionary sheikh to the newly empowered manager and strategic partners, they stood united at the brink of a new era. The path ahead, complex and demanding, shimmered with a light born of collective commitment and an ethical promise that pulsed through the reimagined establishment, guiding them toward a dawn where integrity was the cornerstone of every triumph. The unwavering conviction in their collective purpose, a force as steady as the desert wind shaping dunes, now propelled them beyond the initial shimmer of plans. The showroom, once a fragile testament to pride, had become a vibrant engine of change, its polished surfaces reflecting the earnest faces committed to ethical rebirth. A sense of shared responsibility bound each individual to the larger narrative unfolding at the heart of Dubai. The vast glass facade, once a silent observer of fleeting aspirations, now offered a panoramic vista of a city perpetually reinventing itself, mirroring the principled architecture of their enterprise. Amir, a serene anchor amid the momentum, felt a deep resonance with Layla's enduring wisdom, her voice a quiet current beneath his thoughts. His steady gaze took in Noor, Rashid, and Samira, each focused expression reflecting the moral compass guiding their decisions. He understood that leadership transcended solitary command. It was trust, foresight, and an unshakable belief in the dignity of honest enterprise. The scent of oud mingled with crisp new documents, a blend of ancestral memory steering modern innovation. He envisioned a marketplace where interactions bore genuine respect, prestige was earned through transparency, and excellence flowed from unwavering ethics. His resolve, honed by years of discernment, shone with clarity, charting a path toward a legacy richer than material gain. Noor, spirit alight with focused clarity, navigated operational design with newfound fluidity. Her mind, a nexus of strategic thought, assembled training programs to cultivate not just skill but empathy, transforming transactions into meaningful connections. Her pen moved across crisp pages, sketching pathways for seamless client experiences, ensuring every touchpoint resonated with care. The grand marble floors, once indifferent to transactional steps, seemed to pulse with the rhythm of satisfied clients, each echo affirming the shift. A current of capability had displaced past anxieties, leaving determination to set a new benchmark for principled luxury service. Her role was not a title, but a sacred entrustment, a call to activate every fiber of her being for their collective vision. Rashid, a shrewd strategist, absorbed the scene with quiet intensity, mapping regional and international implications. He saw in Sheikh Amir a rare synthesis, financial acumen fused with an unyielding moral code, an alliance promising not just profit, but an enduring, transformative legacy. Their consortium, with vast networks and resources, stood poised to amplify this ethical revolution and shift the luxury paradigm. Samira, gazing at the kaleidoscopic city beyond the glass, envisioned philanthropic branches blossoming from such stewardship, community empowerment, educational programs, and sustainable ventures extending their ethical vision deep into society. The ceaseless hum of Dubai, audacious construction and boundless ambition wove into their narrative, each beat affirming the significance of their journey. The showroom had become more than a commercial space, a crucible where potential was tempered by the ethical fire of commitment. From the visionary sheikh, whose principles illuminated the way, to the newly empowered manager whose dedication drove action, and the strategic partners whose foresight strengthened resolve, they stood united at the brink of a new era. The path ahead, complex and demanding, shimmered with a beckoning light born of collective commitment to uncompromising excellence and an ethical promise that pulsed through the reimagined establishment, guiding them toward a dawn where integrity was the cornerstone of every triumph and every step into a purposeful future. Yet, not all futures unfolded with such harmonious certainty, nor did every path lead to immediate, principled accord. Across the sprawling, aspiring city, beneath the same skyline that promised boundless opportunity, a different scene was poised to commence, rooted in past indignities and the sting of present judgments. Amir steered his modest, dust-kissed SUV, a testament to utilitarian resilience, onto the polished forecourt of premium motors. Its unassuming silhouette stood in stark contrast against the shimmering array of luxury vehicles parked with aggressive perfection. Every curve of polished chrome, every sheet of glass on the showroom's facade magnified his humble ride, casting it as an anomaly amid the curated spectacle. The elite business summit, drawing regional and international magnates, amplified the public nature of his arrival, turning a personal errand into a conspicuous display of perceived inadequacy. Conversations that had been hushed and strategic acquired a subtle shift, a collective awareness focusing on the unexpected visitor. Inside the climate-controlled sanctum, the familiar trio, Tariq, Zayed, and Salim, caught sight of him through the distortion-free windows. Recognition flashed across their faces, a quick tremor before it hardened into open mockery. Their disdain, remembered from prior dismissive encounters, twisted into a condescending sneer. Salim, outwardly jovial but inwardly malicious, nudged Tariq with a knowing gesture, amused at Amir's perceived audacity to return. Zayed, the most overtly cruel, let a slow, derisive smile spread as his gaze swept over Amir's aging vehicle, questioning the right of such a machine to occupy their grounds. The dealership, usually a stage for effortless affluence, now felt charged with tension, a silent arena where old prejudices resurfaced. The summit attendees, sensing the unspoken drama, shifted their attention. Curious glances added another uncomfortable layer of scrutiny to Amir's return. The event, meant to celebrate success and showcase luxury, instead highlighted the contrast of his unassuming presence against ostentatious wealth. His weathered SUV, a testament to practical endurance and a life beyond superficiality, stood as a defiant fragment of a different world, dropped into an arena of polished ambition. The salesman's condescension, sharp and unconcealed, reminded him of the deep-seated biases he had faced, a deliberate attempt to reduce him to an overlooked outsider. Each deliberate, slow step Amir took across the maintained pavement toward the grand entrance was a quiet assertion against their dismissive gazes, a profound presence in the face of open scorn. The weight of their judgment settled around him, but an inner resolve, tempered by years of observation and a quiet understanding of true worth, kept his stride steady, his gaze unwavering as he prepared to re-enter a domain that had once dismissed him, blind to the depths hidden beneath a humble exterior, foreshadowing an inevitable reordering of their arrogance. The polished air of the showroom, already thick with the scent of ambition and expensive leather, grew taut with a new, sharper tension as the salesman's polite masks dissolved. Tariq, the flashy one, exchanged a knowing, superior glance with Zayed, whose calculating eyes now narrowed with undisguised contempt. Salim, the oldest and most cynical, stepped forward, a dismissive sneer twisting his lips as he addressed Amir, his voice dripping with thinly veiled scorn. "Perhaps," Salim drawled, sweeping a hand towards the gleaming array of luxury vehicles. "These magnificent machines are meant for real desert magnates, those who understand more than just the dust under their feet." The cutting remark sliced through the murmuring background of the elite business summit, drawing a few curious glances from nearby attendees who paused their hushed conversations to observe the unfolding scene. A familiar sting, a ghost from childhood humiliations, pricked at Amir's heart. Yet, it was quickly eclipsed by a surge of unyielding calm, a quiet fortress built over decades of weathering judgment. His eyes, though unblinking, held a profound, almost sorrowful irony as he met Salim's gaze. The notion that he, a man who had literally coaxed prosperity from barren land, was not a real desert magnate, was a jest only those blinded by superficiality could utter. Before Amir could respond, Khalid, the arrogant dealership manager, emerged from his office, his bespoke suit a testament to the very opulence he believed defined worth. He moved with an exaggerated swagger, his gaze sweeping over Amir's simple thobe and keffiyeh with an almost performative disdain, pausing just long enough to underscore his silent judgment. Khalid's smooth, condescending voice, usually reserved for closing high-value deals, now cut through the showroom's hum with chilling clarity. "Is there a problem here, gentlemen?" he asked, though his tone suggested the problem was patently obvious and standing directly before him. Without waiting for an answer, he turned his full, dismissive attention to Amir, a false, patronizing smile playing on his lips. "My dear sir, I truly must ask," Khalid began, his voice laced with an insinuation that twisted the words into an insult. "Do you even comprehend the sheer value, the price of a vehicle of this caliber? Our clientele, you see, operates on a different scale." He gestured vaguely at the top-tier imported luxury cars, a silent challenge that echoed the previous insults and amplified the public nature of the humiliation. The ambient light from the crystal chandeliers glinted off the polished chrome, reflecting the stark contrast between Amir's composed presence and Khalid's arrogant display. The public spectacle, intensified by the proximity of the elite business summit's discerning attendees, pressed in on Amir, yet his inner world remained unshaken. The shame that once threatened to consume him in his youth had long since transformed into an unshakable resolve. Each word, each patronizing glance, each dismissive gesture from Khalid and his salesman served not to diminish him, but to reinforce his certainty. He observed them, their polished suits and meticulously groomed appearances, their faces contorted with a prejudice so transparent it bordered on tragic. The true magnates, he mused inwardly, were those who built empires not on outward show, but on the bedrock of integrity and enduring character, a wealth that defied the fleeting gleam of gold and was truly incomprehensible to those who measured worth only in reals. The air around him, thick with their prejudice, became a subtle current, carrying not humiliation, but a profound, almost spiritual clarity that deepened his resolve. He stood as a silent testament to a different kind of power, a dignity that the shimmering luxury around them could never truly obscure, Even as the showroom's opulent shimmer tried to mask true dignity, a sharp, patronizing laugh cut through the murmurs, drawing all eyes to Khalid. His false, condescending smile stretched as he gestured toward the entrance. "I believe," he announced, voice edged with thinly veiled threat. "It's time to call security. We have a gentleman here who appears to be, shall we say, overestimating his means, and perhaps disturbing our genuine clientele." The implication hung heavy, a public denouncement meant to humiliate Amir and cast him out like an unwelcome shadow. The salesmen, faces etched with contempt, exchanged knowing glances, their prejudice coiled with the expectation of Amir's imminent capitulation. Amir remained perfectly still, composure an unyielding fortress against scorn. A serene patience emanated from him, a quiet strength that absorbed Khalid's condescension. His unblinking eyes held a flicker of ancient knowing, seeing beyond glittering facades. With unnerving calm, he reached into his simple thobe, no rush, no tremor, retrieved a mobile phone. Not sleek and new, but an older model, its casing worn, utterly devoid of ostentation. Its simplicity seemed to mock the extravagant displays around them. The click of his thumb on the keypad resonated in the hush. He navigated the device with practiced ease, brought it to his ear, and scanned the stunned faces, settling on Noor, whose wide eyes betrayed curiosity and hope. He spoke into the receiver, calm, clear, ensuring every word pierced the showroom's illusion. "Rashid, my good friend," Amir said, addressing his bank director with familiar ease. "I apologize for the late hour, but I require a quick confirmation for a rather pressing matter." A profound stillness descended. The summit's hushed conversations were swallowed by Amir's words. Khalid's smirk faltered. "Could you please confirm," Amir continued with casual authority, "my current account balance? And perhaps for those present, a general overview of my investment portfolio, including real estate holdings?" He paused, letting it sink in. Rashid's calm, professional voice, tinny through the speaker, carried across the room, figures beginning in the hundreds of millions, then spiraling into staggering billions, vast, diversified funds and real estate empires spanning continents. Each asset landed like a hammer on Khalid's crumbling self-assurance. The salesman who had shown disdain now stood transfixed, amusement dissolving into shock. Their calculating eyes widened in disbelief. Salim's sneer became a gape. Tariq's bravado evaporated. Zayed's superior glance turned to bewilderment. Khalid transformed more profoundly. Color drained from his face, jaw slack, the false smile gone, replaced by mortified shock as his eyes darted between Amir and his stunned team. The air thickened with the realization of his monumental error. Amir, still composed, lowered his phone, a subtle smile touching his lips. He rotated the device, displaying digital statements, crisp, undeniable, to a now pale, speechless Khalid. The glowing figures burned into Khalid's eyes, obliterating his arrogance. The luxury vehicles around them, once symbols of perceived power, now seemed to mock his insecurity, reflecting only the stark truth of Amir's quietly revealed fortune. The silence that followed was absolute, heavy with a truth that had irrevocably altered their arrogant world, leaving Khalid a crumbling monument to his own spectacular misjudgment. Amir's call to Dr. Roberto Mendez sealed his intent, the lawyer's crisp tones slicing through the showroom's stunned silence. Khalid, his mask of arrogance gone, stood motionless as the weight of his misjudgment settled over him. The sales team, once buoyed by their manager's bluster, exchanged panicked glances. Their dismissive smiles had vanished. The opulent cars, mere props in Khalid's collapsing empire, reflected their pale faces, silent witnesses to a swift, irreversible downfall. Amir, composed and quietly powerful, ended the call. Each word from him landed like a hammer against Khalid's fragile dominion. "Khalid," Amir said with unyielding finality, "free of malice but full of authority, your tenure, and that of your entire team at Premium Motors, is concluded. Arrangements for your departure, including contractual compensation, will be handled efficiently. Your services no longer align with the principles I envision for this establishment." A soft gasp rippled through the onlookers. Khalid's jaw tightened. A crimson flush burned his cheeks as humiliation took him. The sales staff, their swagger drained, gathered their meager belongings with hurried, ashamed movements, and left. The setting sun cast long shadows across the marble floor, marking the end of an era defined by superficiality. Amir's attention shifted to Noor, who had watched quietly. Her timidity had become a luminous clarity. Her wide eyes reflected an understanding of true power. "Noor," he said, his tone warming, "your observation, integrity, and aptitude for leadership have been noted. Effective immediately, I am promoting you to senior management. You will help restructure and re-envision this dealership, guiding it toward a future built on respect for every client and unblemished ethical practice." A surprised blush rose on Noor's cheeks. She straightened, a quiet confidence radiating as she accepted the responsibility and purpose displaced the tension. The showroom air, once thick with the acrid scent of desperate ambition, now hummed with cleaner energy and possibility. As Amir finished, two figures stepped from the edge of the crowd. Rashid, the bank director, moved with measured stride. Samira, the philanthropist, was at his side. Rashid spoke smoothly, respectful and direct. "Sheikh Amir," he said, "my associate Samira and I have watched your actions with interest. We represent a consortium with deep interests in the luxury market. We see an opportunity for a strategic alliance that could elevate premium motors to unprecedented ethical success and market influence under your leadership." Samira nodded subtly, her eyes promising capability and commitment. Their calm, potent proposition added a layer to the unfolding scene, suggesting collaboration, challenge, and boundless potential. The fading light seemed to highlight these new alliances as the old order crumbled, giving way to principled, dynamic leadership. The showroom, no longer a monument to one man's fragile pride, poised to become a crucible of vision, stewardship, and transformation under the Sheikh's unexpected influence. The air thrummed with the promise of a meticulous, principled new beginning, setting the stage for a future where genuine respect, rather than superficiality, would define every triumph and stride into a purposeful tomorrow.